Well, the theme was, incident response, the good, the bad, the ugly. So basically, the bad parts of incident response, the good parts of it, what can you do and what can you do quickly, and then the ugly stuff, what's really happening out there in the trenches. And that's why I really like to tell stories of engagements that I've done and whatnot. So you get a real sense of, wow, this really does happen out there. And a lot of people don't see that, they miss it. They can take those things that I've talked about in the presentation, whether it's training or practice, and which I really emphasize, so they can make their own IR teams much, much better. Well, my most interesting story would probably be a data breach of a large casino. The perpetrators came through their remote access boxes, their Citrix boxes basically, and took over their entire network. But only the parts of the network, I wouldn't say the whole network, just the parts of the network that had to deal with the credit cards. So it was almost like they had a playbook. It's like they had the instruction manual from the manufacturer of the actual system. Because they went after very specific pieces of their AS400 infrastructure, their point of sale system, their hotel management system, and they knew exactly when to get in and get out. So it was very, very, very well coordinated, that's for sure.
Okay, so we got some free tools. Do tools solve everything? No. So there's free tools and there's paid tools. So these are just free tools. My number one favorite tool up here that I use for an incident response, what do you think it might be? Okay. You got it. Because what's my biggest thing? I'm a forensics guy. I need timelines. I need to know who, what, when, where. When did it start? When did it end? Okay? Because one big thing when I'm looking at incident responses, I talked to this one company and they're like, yes, we've been dealing with this incident response for 6 months. I'm like, what are you doing for 6 months? Dude, you need to get it in and get it out 3 days, a week, and be done. And if it's taking you longer than that, there's something wrong.
The biggest thing is just have an incident response team or a plan. Because if you're not prepared, we always hear prepare for this, prepare for that, prepare for a hurricane, prepare for a tornado, prepare for a fire. And we practice that, right? Our kids go to school, they practice fire drills. Our firefighters practice going to battle a fire. But our incident response teams never practice. They do their day-to-day job. They might be a security admin, they might be a server admin, they might be a web developer, or they might be the person that's sitting on the help desk. And most companies do not, I'd say almost all companies, do not bring their IR teams together once a quarter at least, just so they could practice. And they should drill, just like anybody else drills. I don't know. I wish I knew. I've talked to people for years, and I get the same response, just the blank look, glazed, is like, what, we're supposed to practice this stuff? But my guy should know this, tools. That's always the biggest one, is you go into an incident response, and the company already has some of the tools that maybe you might recommend or whatnot, and they don't know how to use them. Because they're setting up on a shelf somewhere, and they've never taken them off. They bought them, they've got it put in the budget, they're like, oh, well, we need this forensics tool, or we need this management tool. And they either don't put them in or they've never practiced with them. So when the time comes, if there's an incident, they're stuck. Because now they're having to open up the book, they're learning the software, and they're going to miss a lot of stuff. It's kind of the shock and awe. They're initially shocked, and wow, I don't want that to happen to us. How did that happen? How do we prevent just that? And my thing is, I don't want to prevent just that. It's the everything else. Because your incident might not be like the other ones. It's just like when we're doing pen testing. We're going to look at one scenario, but that one exploit might not work. So we re-engineer it. We come in a different door. We might have to do social engineering or whatnot. And that's the same thing with the attackers that are going to cause to have an incident. They're doing the same thing. They're doing lots of reconnaissance, and they're going to come at you multiple different ways to get in. And if you don't have an incident response plan around different things, you'll never be able to respond to it. You'll be flailing in the wind.